I'll be in the office next week, Tuesday, for a few hours, about 4 to 7 in the morning. So if you want to meet, 4 to 7. It's 8 to 10. Just send me an email beforehand. So. Yeah.
How do you go about choosing how you want to change yourself?
I had a friend, she had graduated from UC Berkeley in psychology. But before getting to Davis, she had gone to Sierra College, and there was a philosophy instructor there. Very popular, really interesting guy. I think he had come from Kentucky, a very religious mother. He was gay. He knew the Bible inside and out, not because he was interested in Jesus Christ or God or any of that stuff, but he wanted to know how to wrestle with the Christians who were against homosexuality. And this was in Rockland, Republican Bible Belt to some extent. And so he was so convincing that this young woman who had taken his class became an atheist. Her mother later on took my class, brought her to my class for a while. Hello. I guess what I'm trying to say is the following. Some people have a foundation. That foundation is not going to change. If, for example, you've been born a Christian, and you've been conditioned and programmed by that particular software, it may be that you'll go to Oxford, you'll run into Richard Dawkins, they'll convince you that God doesn't exist, all those things. And you'll be convinced of that for a while. But then the effect of his ideas and his philosophy, his intensity will eventually fade, and you'll go back to being who you've always been. All of us eventually will go back home like the prodigal son. It doesn't matter what philosophy of life you pursue. It doesn't matter what things come and go. The truth is, ultimately, you go back to whom you've always been. That's never going to change. So when you talk about how do you change yourself, there is the biological aspect to you. That's not going to change, unless you want to put your, self under the knife. There is also the biological evolution aspect of you, which is, for us to survive life, you have to be angry. You have to be greedy. You have to be lustful. You are going to have envy inside you. You're going to have jealousy inside you. That's the way we protect ourselves. That's the way we've been surviving for many, many thousands of years, if not millions. So those things are not going to change. The best thing you can do is be jealous about the right things, have lust for the right things, be greedy for the right things. These are the ways you survive. The intellectual change, that's just, in the hands of time. You get exposed to more things in life. Right now, you may assume that you know a thing or two about religion, about philosophy, about love, all those things. You're still very young. Life is going to toy with you for a while. You're going to see yourself in ways you've never imagined. And hello? Ariana?
Yes.
You want to sit here? This is Ariana. It's good to meet you. So, as you're exposed to more things about life and life begins to challenge you, you realize you don't have very many tools in your toolbox. So maybe you'll do therapy, maybe you'll begin to read books, maybe you'll have conversations with people you don't really know, but you respect. And little by little, you'll begin to gain more insights. And, very much like an addict. If you've been a drunk most of your life, the idea of changing is not even fathomable. It doesn't enter your imagination because it's such a tremendously difficult task. Because you've tried to quit, you relapse again, you try to quit, you relapse again, you're angry, everybody has left you, and you drown in depression, okay? Because you kind of feel helpless. If you have the right people around you, if you have the right support system, if you have the right temperament, there's a good chance that you may recover. And you have to kind of be on that recovery with a good amount of, you have to be very cautious because at any time, you could go back to the old world. The emotional aspect of change, it really depends on what type of emotion you're talking about. Sometimes we all, when we walk into life, life gives you experiences. Experiences create feelings. Some feelings are pleasant, some are unpleasant, some towards which you're indifferent. Some feelings turn into emotions because they're very, very intense and they keep repeating themselves. If you are driving on the highway and someone rams into you, well, okay, it's an accident. If it happens once a week, then there's a good chance that it's going to be a traumatic experience for you, driving. Then from that point on, you'll just ride your bicycle, or maybe you just walk. And should you desire to change that emotional outlook towards driving, that's going to be tough. So when you talk about, I guess what I'm trying to say is it really depends on what exactly it is you're talking about, what part of yourself you want to change. Right now, you have a lot of imagination simply because you're young. Then you'll get into a relationship. Then your companion will tell you that you're no good. So, I'm no good? I'm a saint. Again, she'll tell you, or he, you're no good. And then you have to make some difficult choices. You'll either make some sacrifices, like Abraham and Isaac. You'll make some changes so the relationship can continue, or you just walk away and repeat the same mistakes over and over and over again until you just grow tired. I can't change the way I teach. I've been in it for about 30 years. And my temperament likes this particular approach to life and ideas. And even if you were to convince me intellectually that I'm no good, I may accept your position about me. I may even agree with you, but I can't change. I don't have the desire to change. Before you are able to make any changes, first there has to be a desire. That desire has to do with the fact that you've seen something about yourself you don't like. That causes a good amount of pain. Okay, but it's something that has lived inside you for 5, 10, 15, 20 years. Just because you have an inspired moment, it doesn't mean anything. And you're far too blind to change. You need someone who's been there, who's done that. That's why people go to AA. That's why people go to various, centers, because they're around people who have been in the same, world. They've been damaged, they've tried, haven't succeeded. So they're looking for someone with more insights, more knowledge, more experience. Yeah, parents. Yeah. They have no problem telling you an idiot once in a while. Yeah. I want to change. I want to leave Oakland. I want to go to Nevada City. I had a friend there. She was 94. She has this beautiful house. So she's dead now. 20 acres. Like, you know, living in the forest all by yourself. But for me to make that particular change, Kendra, hello. Abi, hello. I have to like leave my wife. That's not a problem. Not to leave my kids. Not a problem either. It's just a matter of time. For those of you who came in late, today's the last day. We'll be in the office next week, Tuesday. 4 in the morning till about 11. If you want to come by, don't. But if you do, make sure to email me first. Ariana, do you have any questions? Sure?
Yeah.
Ariana, how about you? Where are you from?
Like
Your parents?
San Francisco.
Oh, okay. She's from Iran. Well, parts of her. The other parts are American made. Flimsy. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Half of it's Mexican.
Oh. Oh, good then. You're solid. Okay. Maybe you want a cough drop? I would give it to you, Anna, but this is my last one. Yes. Yeah. No one? That's it? You're done? The trip for nothing.
Reiterate.
Sure, Anna, and then back to Mark.
I guess I was gonna ask, like, do you think some people are like fully incapable of change, or is there like something for everyone that can inspire change?
One of my kids suffers from sloth. He's an idiot. A nice kid. I mean, just because you're nice, it doesn't mean you're not an idiot. I'm sorry. You're a guest. I should watch my language. So, we were sitting one day and I said to him, have you ever heard of Cristiano Ronaldo? He says, no, who's that? Let me show him to you. He's like a god. So he played Barcelona, and they won, I think, 2-1 or 3-1 or something. At a certain point, Ronaldo took off his clothes. Have you seen that? Oh, man. His thighs. Have you seen his thighs? His abs, cheekbones, lips, nose, man. I mean, as a man, how could you resist such a thing? You know. And so he looks at Cristiano and says, ah. And then the way he like does his penalty. Have you seen his headers? Amazing. He jumps like 10 feet high, like Superman. Every single day now, he plays soccer. If you can find someone in your life who can inspire you, and I don't know how that happens. You know, I mean, Messi by far is a much better player. But there is something about Ronaldo, at least for me, and I don't know what it is. He has magic. I don't know how I relate to him. I don't know how I connect to him. But all I know is that if Real Madrid or Al Nasser right now in the Arab world, if he's not playing in a game, I have no interest in watching the game. You know. If you're able to find someone who can inspire certain mysterious feelings about you, and try not to understand those feelings because you won't be able to. You know, it's like you fall in love with an idiot. And all of us in this class have been there, right? And your mom keeps telling you, are you an idiot to be going out with an idiot? You're much better than that. And you know your mom is right, but you just can't get rid of the feelings, you know. So love has its own magic, but that aside, I suppose the point I was trying to make is you have a kid who doesn't want to move his body, you know. He's become a true American. He's supposed to sit. As Friedrich Nietzsche would say, the brave new world consists of people who are the Ubermensch of the 20th century are the couch potatoes. Whoever can sit and play many hours of video games, that person is the most powerful. Okay, and that was my son for a long, long, long time until he just began watching Cristiano Ronaldo. He doesn't sit anymore. So change is possible. The problem with change is that you have to make sure that you know the difference between inspiration and commitment. These are very, very, very different. Sometimes, we've talked about this before, sometimes I'm inspired to help someone who's homeless, but I'm not committed to helping homeless people for the rest of my life. That's not me. I mean, once in a while, you know, something happens, I feel bad, I feel sorry, empathy, compassion overcome me, I become a bit generous. But most often, no. The problem with inspiration, at least for many of us, is that your life is full and you have a past. And the past always comes in. It's like you want to like this person, but you keep thinking about your ex. It just won't work. That's why repetition is so important. You just have to, even if you don't like to do something, you just have to keep doing it over and over and over again until it becomes part of your nature. And that usually takes about 5, 10, 15, 20 years, depending on what it is, you know. So, I don't know why she's here. She's in a different class, you know. She was inspired, so she's here. Anything? Marco? Yeah.
I think probably could have placed my original question better. I guess I'm more interested in the practical aspects.
The what?
More practical aspects.
Oh, you won't be able to do it.
Yes, not necessarily helpful, right? And I don't necessarily.
I'm just trying to be realistic with you. I mean, it's one thing to read the New Testament and be inspired, but to live that sort of a life, it's not possible for you because you have to make a lot of sacrifices. Look, we like theories. Theories are fine because theories, for the most part, you can sit home, read a book, and think thoughts. You can sit home, read books, and feel feelings. Fine. It's like your companion telling you, you know, I told you to take out the trash. There are lots of things to sacrifice when something goes beyond a theoretical and now it becomes one of application. Application is always difficult because there are lots of things about yourself that you have to overcome. And you have too many blind spots. I mean, you drive, you know, sometimes you just don't want to look over to see if there's a car next to you. I mean, these days it's different because your mirror kind of just lights up, right? But sometimes you just say, you know, I'm just going to take a leap of faith. I'm just going to change lanes. And if I hear a bang, then I know there was someone next to me, okay? None of us want to do anything that's practical. We like to read stories about people who've done some practical stuff, you know. I'm inspired to sit in my office and watch people make houses, because that's what I like to do, and I do sometimes, you know. But the idea of, like, after class going to Home Depot, grabbing like 50 2x4s, coming home, sawing and doing this, doing that, I have to spend a lot of time and energy, you know. The other thing about the practical application is you can't do it on your own, as I said, because someone from the outside needs to instill a good amount of respect, fear. You have to respect me, and you have to fear me, and you have to love me for you to come to my office. You know, the idea of me coming to class and saying, come to my office, well, it's great. But for you to actually come, you have to wake up early. And even though you have a math quiz, you have to say, it's okay, I'll just fail. There are lots of things that you have to overcome. Add to the fact that there's going to be a good amount of doubt about you. Why the hell am I want to go to his office for? What does he have that I don't have? I can just get that stuff from books. So this false pride, independence, all the stuff that just comes with being human. There's just too many things. If change and sacrifice were easy, I think Jesus would have made the transformation, social change, in no time. Muhammad would have done it. There would be no reason to fight anyone. You sit them down, you convince them intellectually, and then change happens. But that's not the way it goes. Consider Malcolm X being shot by his own people. You're black, he's black. Why the hell would you want to get rid of your own person? Well, because ideas differ, goals differ, passions are different. You have biases you don't see. You're devoted to Elijah, but not Malcolm. So sitting in the class and talking about philosophy, not a difficult thing to do. It's been going on for a long, long, long time. Plato couldn't do it. Plato wanted to sit home and write books. Socrates wanted to go out there and actually write on people's minds and hearts. And his conclusion was death. So we are much more comfortable sitting and just thinking thoughts. It's much easier. I don't know how old you are, and I don't know if you've ever been in any romantic relationships, but what you will encounter in romantic relationships, or even a parent to a child, is that parents always demand for you to make some sacrifices, to clean your room, to brush your teeth, not to play too many video games. These are like practical application to small things about life, things you can see and touch and taste. Philosophy, you can't see it, you can't touch it, you can't taste it, it lives in your head. And if I was to tell you, just do as I say and you'll kind of taste the fruit 5 years from now, that's 5 years from now. You have to wait for 5 years, that's too much of a time. You can't see that just yet. Brushing your teeth, easy enough. In romantic relationship, what you realize is that your companion will reveal to you that you are insufficient in many ways, that you have to make some changes. And when you don't make those changes, it causes friction, it causes conflict. And then what's going to happen? Well, you guys are going to part ways. The task is really quite simple. Just sit, shut your mouth, listen to what she has to say. And once in a while, just do as she says. Very simple. Not every day, not every minute, just once in a while. But you won't do it. It's too much. So if you're talking about things that are a bit more abstract, it's nearly impossible. I like to read Daughter of Fire. It's a book about a woman who goes to India and finds a teacher and has this awful experience. Because she thought, the quest towards wisdom is this way, but he proved her to be wrong. And for 5, 6, 7, 10 years she struggled, and eventually she got it. But it was 10 years. And she sacrificed everything. I like to read. But if I was to find myself a teacher like a Socrates who demanded those things from me, I'd probably walk away. First, I'm 60. Second, I have degrees. Third, I'm arrogant. Fourth, I've been teaching. So I'm contaminated by my own thoughts, I'm contaminated by education, I'm contaminated by false pride. There are too many things for me I don't even see. It's almost impossible for me to overcome. So even if a good teacher was to come my way, I probably won't have the capacity. But I'd like to read them in books.
I would say certainly you have the capacity, but it's a question of desire, right? I think everyone has a capacity for change. I'm interested in change. I'm interested in ideas. I'm interested in actual literal change. Lives of people. So the ideas serve the purpose for their life. I don't really see a point in philosophy of conflict.
There is no thing in life you can walk into that doesn't have some philosophy in it. Eating has philosophy. Sex has philosophy. Breathing has philosophy. Everything has philosophy. Okay. A desire is a spark, which is good. Desire creates curiosity. Curiosity creates attention. Attention creates focus and interest. Interest creates infatuation and passion. And there is a point where you just fall in love with the thing you're interested in. And that love keeps you going for a while. But love has a shelf life. After a while, love tests you. Do you love me for my body? Is it just sex? Is this the foundation of this relationship? Is it just sex? Can you sit back and just listen to the things I'm talking about? Are you interested in my history? Are you interested in my desires, my ambitions? I mean, these are like different platforms. Yeah. I think if you want to see how difficult change is, talk to any addict. Talk to any parents. Talk to anyone who's a serial dater. Talk to anyone who has lived life, and they'll tell you how difficult it is. Now, I know that young people have this fantasy about that lives inside themselves, which is not bad. It's part of just being young. There is a guy whose name is, you know his name? That guy. You guys, uneducated. What's his name? Carmen? Mike Tyson. That's the only name I can. So he has this painting called The Voyage of Life. 4 paintings. I'm not going to talk about the 3 of them, but one of them is called Youth. It's about just a young kid. And when an angel says, let me just sit on this boat, on this raft with you, just in case you need help, the young kid says, no, I can do it on my own. And that's one of the things that comes with being young. You imagine you can do things on your own. And that's fine. Now, what you don't see as a young person is, for the first 5-10 years of your life was on a linear path. You have a question, your parents give you an answer. You want to go to a park, your parents take you there. Whatever you want, it's linear from A to B. As you get a little older, you begin to desire to explore things about life. No longer is the path linear. It becomes windy. It's like going on Highway 1 towards Los Angeles. And there's the cliff and there's the ocean. At any time you could fall to your death. But as a kid, you don't really see it. Now, what you have is one leg forward. Young people are ambitious. Young people are proud. Young people are intense. And then in the sky, there's a Taj Mahal. And it's a place where they assume that they're going, place of dreams and hopes. Robin Williams had a movie a long time ago called Field of Dreams, or was it the other guy, Costner, Kevin? The point is, ultimately, all young people have dreams. All mass revolutions happen because of a dream. Animal Farm, it's a dream. Eventually the sheep becomes the lion. We all have dreams. Nobody gets married in hopes of getting a divorce, but life crushes that. No people have children to end up in a divorce, but it happens all the time. No father desires to be abusive. It happens all the time. I mean, if you look at human emotions for the past maybe 5,000 years, most of it is negative. And there's a reason. Life is tough. And sometimes you want to change some of the emotions that live inside you. But to change them, you need to be aware of them. But awareness by itself is not enough. When your companions are drunk all the time, well, the only way to get rid of it is, first you get rid of the companion, then you have to get rid of the stories you've created with this person for the past 5, 6, 10 years. Then next time you want to go out on a date, there's a good amount of fear inside you. I mean, this shit lives inside all of us. It's difficult to make changes. But as a young person, because you don't have enough experience, you imagine that change is easy. It's like going to Costco, buying a few things, coming out. It doesn't work that way. School is easy. You go to classes, first Someone will tell you what classes you need to take to graduate. Instructors, unlike this class, of course, instructors will give you a structure, lecture. They'll tell you when things are due, you know, what sort of an essay you should write, hello, the font, the color, all this and that. Then, of course, you go to interviews, you get a job. You're not living life just yet. Then you go home. Then you realize most of who you are revolves around your job. Then you get a companion, things get messy. Then you get a little older, things get messier. Then you get sicker, things get more messier. Then your parents die, things get really, really messy. Then you get diagnosed with cancer 4, then things get really messy. And then you realize, well, you know, you thought you knew, but you don't. Ariana? Ariana?
I guess I.
You know, today is the last breakfast, like the last supper. So if there's anything you guys want to say, ask. Today's the day. Yeah.
Isn't there, I don't know. I agree with the messiness, not knowing. But I think there's something really nice about it. I don't know. It's very, at least for me, it's pleasant.
The messiness.
Yeah.
You know, my father-in-law, my wife is from Eritrea. And so my father-in-law was born in a village. At the age of 12, he left and he lived amongst the woods, the trees and the cows and the cats. Sometimes he would have no food for like weeks. And so that was his software, that life is vicious, life is messy, life is cruel. So I remember once in a while I would go to La Farine, a bakery, and get like baguettes. And then I would put some for him. Yeah. And he would eat like 5 loaves or 5 baguettes. I said, Emmanuel, I mean, I know your name means God be with you, but this is ridiculous. What are you doing? The forest life and the forest memory never left him. Sometimes people are born in a worn-torn environment. It's just messy. And they grow a thick skin and they adjust to the messiness of life. It's like, you know, your father wasn't there, your mom wasn't there, your siblings weren't there, your aunts and uncles weren't there. So from a very young age, you realize that, well, there is no one there to protect you. And so you get to a certain point and you go through a string of relationships. And there comes a point where someone walks into your life and they're really, really solid. They're really stable, you know. And you realize when you go home, they're very quiet. They're very calm. They say, you know, you're not used to that stuff. He says, well, you want to make some tea or coffee? Or let's go have some dinner. You know, now for the past 20 years, you've lived a relatively messy life, but now there is no mess to fix. There is no mess to have a conversation about, you know. And just in case you want to talk about your mess, he doesn't want to hear it. He says, I know, that was your past. Let's move on, you know. So, well, mess is my life. Mess is my history, you know. And so you realize it's not that you appreciate mess. What you appreciate is what you're most comfortable with. Messiness. If you examine our life for the past many thousands of years, human beings don't like messiness. We don't like uncertainties. Go into a relationship, make it messy. Okay? Make a guy love you. And then he will demand if you love him back. Don't give him any answers. Love a guy and demand an answer. and watch he doesn't give you a reply. That's messy. Do you like it? No. From moving out of the caves, from hunting animals, to creating shelters like this, Costco's, cars, the wheel, the marriage vows, all the things we have done in the past few million years is to get rid of the messiness that life creates. Now, if you happen to be an artist, that's a different story. Because artists, the best source of inspiration for an artist is to be messy. Messy on the inside. You know, that you go through mood swings all the time. And you write poetry about sadness. And just in case things are happy and good out there, you say, well, I'm not inspired. Because I don't want to write about happiness because most of life sucks. And you see beauty in the suckiness of life because it inspires you to write poetry. You know, consider if the story is true, which it's not, but let's consider for a moment. Lao Tzu. He's like this 125-year-old, Asians live a long time. So he's like this 150-year-old guy who comes to realize that people suck. All people who live in China, they just suck. So I'm going to leave. So someone recognizes who this man is and stops him and says, where are you going? I'm leaving. But you're like a Costco. You have all this wisdom inside you. Why the hell would you want to deprive people of all the wisdom that lives inside you? People have ears, but those ears don't hear. People have eyes, and those eyes don't see. You know. And when I talk to people and they don't listen, that frustrates me. I'd rather just, mind my own business. I don't want to talk to people or see people. He says, well, the only way I will let you leave is for you to write some of your wisdom down. And you should read the book. I mean, it's beautiful poetry. But underneath all that nice flowery words is a guy who sees too much mess about people. The fact that people can't change. The fact that life sucks the life out of people. The fact that people are stupid. Life makes all of us stupid. So he just writes poetry. Nobody enjoys mess. If you really enjoy mess, don't shower for a week. And see what people will say to you. And they'll create inside you messy emotions. Your confidence will go away. Your self-image will go away. You won't like yourself. Yeah. Now, if you're talking about hanging out with messy people, now that's a different story. I'll have an iron in my office because I bring my semester's clothes and put them there. So I get to school about 4 in my jammies. I walk around naked in my office for a while, and then I wear this costume and come to class, okay? I don't use my iron for pants and shirts that have no wrinkles. The iron is designed only for wrinkly and messy fabrics. If you happen to be Jesus Christ, I've not come for the righteous. Righteous, they have no wrinkles. I've come for the sinners. But those who know that they're sinners, those who know who are lost, not just those who assume and just have all these intellectual garbage inside their heads, If you happen to be a Jesus Christ of sorts, then yes, you're going to be looking for messy things because you can fix them. I mean, next time you go to any of in this class who go to therapist office, next time you go to your session and your therapist asks, so what do you want to talk about? I am good, nothing to talk about today. Let's just sit in silence. See how well that goes for you. Therapists are there because they like mess and they like to fix mess. And we go to therapist office because we're messy and we like to talk about messiness. Just in case you become addicted to messiness, well, that's a mess that you and I have to overcome. But we don't like mess. Nobody likes mess. Allahu Akbar. Ariana? Allahu Akbar. Lilac? Carmen? Anna?
Well, I guess, I don't know, what you're saying makes me kind of think, like, I mean, I don't like, I guess, mess in my life, but I feel like if there was no mess in life in general, then like, where would be the fun in life? Like, it would be
Fun?
boring.
Fun? What are you, 2?
Sure.
Number 1, life is messy by nature. So this idea that you have that, oh, if I get rid of mess, life will be no fun. Life is not going to leave you alone. I mean, biologically, you're changing all the time, you know, and as you change, psychologically, you'll change as well. You know, today, it may be that you just want sex. In a couple of weeks, man, you want sex with meaning. Then you want someone to commit with, or 2. Then you want like marriage. Then maybe you want children. Then your children will leave you. And then you'll be old, ugly, and smelly. And then there is Kaiser. And then there is figuring out what coffin you want to buy. One with Bluetooth, air condition, you know, fiberglass, steel, you know. If you want a plot of land that's like near 30,000, far away, 50 cents. Life is not going to leave you alone. Things are always going to be messy. Look, you have a brain, and I don't know if God gave it to us or biology, because it comes down to figure out what the hell to do with the mess. Now that's fun, if you have the right tools. Look, go to Target, buy yourself like a 1,000-piece puzzle, and tell your kid brother to get rid of 5 of those pieces. Now sit there for 5 hours making this puzzle. Now you want to finish this up, but 5 are missing. You realize it's no longer fun. You want the 5. You get angry. You'll grab your brother by the throat, strangle him. Where are those 5 pieces? Right? Now, if it's a mess you enjoy, yeah, it's fun. I mean, the things we talk about in this class, they are messy. But they're fun to talk about. Having a migraine, figuring out what the hell that's about, being told you have a tumor, that's messy. See if that's fun for you. Fuck. Ariana. 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 You again?
Okay, well, what you're saying now, like, then in a way we kind of do enjoy mess.
We don't enjoy mess.
At least sometimes.
You enjoy the mess you have power to fix.
But is it still, then it's still
It's not fun. Mess is struggle. Mess is frustrating. And if frustration continues, it grows into anger. See right now? Your question messes me up. Now my voice goes up. I'm frustrated. If you continue, I'll be angry. And I'm from the Middle East. We are violent people. Ariana will tell you. Lilac. Kendra. No. Socrates had once argued that the function of philosophy is to make you ready for death. I used to work for hospice, volunteer for about 5-6 years, and then child life services where, you know, kids who haven't really lived life, they're diagnosed with some incurable disease. And I don't think of almost a decade of working with sick and dying people, I ever witnessed anyone walking towards their death contently. They all had regrets. Now, granted, the last minute before you take your last breath, you say, yes, I understand now. And they walk away peacefully. But life is really just a long struggle. While you're healthy, then you get older, where you become aware that you're losing certain abilities, you know. Then if the stats, the numbers are right, that 80% of human population, they just die painful deaths. And then you have once in a while a prophet like Dr. Koverkian who comes forth and says, why would you want someone to just die a miserable, painful death? Euthanasia. Have some compassion. You have a dog who has severe arthritis, can't eat, can't walk, can't breathe. Just take him to the back and shoot him. Nothing wrong with that, And I say that because that's what David Long, one of our friends, used to do with his dogs and cats and husbands and wives and children. There are some people who, look, imagine that life is like a relationship, a romantic one. And we all have a romantic relationship with life because we all have ridiculous fantasies about life and ourselves in relation to life. I'm going to get my PhD and be like a Socrates. I'm going to have a child and be the best mother. All these ridiculous, stupid things that people say all the time to themselves and other people. Now, there comes a point in all relationships where you begin to lose meaning and you begin to lose purpose and you begin to lose passion. And it's normal. There's nothing wrong with it. I think the only people who find this to be problematic are Americans or maybe Westerners, that they want passion to be there 24/7 from the moment they're born to the time they die. Okay? Imagine now you have a relationship with life. Now, how do you get bored in a relationship? When you've spent a good amount of time with another human being. You've gone on trips, you've had lots of conversations, you've had lots of sex, you've cooked in the kitchen, you've cleaned the house, you've gone here and there, you've been together for 5, 6, 7, 9, 10 years. And one day you look at this person, you say, I want to go on a trip all by myself. Okay. Some people treat life in that way. That they say, okay, what exactly is it that life has? And what exactly is it that life can offer me? What, more books? More ideas? More conversation? I've been there. I've done that. And very much like a romantic relationship, we realize at a certain point that what life does once in a while, it inspires moments, tiny, tiny, tiny little moments. And as you get older, those moments become very rare. Okay? Tiny little moments where you find something interesting. Socrates, Malcolm, Jesus, Moses, Muhammad, the sort of life that you and I desire, it was far too old for them. They didn't desire those things. Life had nothing really to offer them. The only thing they wanted, and the problem with those people is that they attach themselves to this huge idea called justice, or the kingdom of God, or the love for wisdom. Not love for data or information, not love for curiosity, not love for interest, loving wisdom. And the problem with wisdom is you can't see it. You can't touch it. You can't smell it. You can never reach it. It's always like one step ahead of you and behind you. And if you happen to be that kind of a human being, then I suppose you realize that, well, what exactly is it about your body? Well, sometimes you look at someone and you find them attractive. That's distracting. Sometimes, perhaps you're not there or you're past that stage. Sometimes you want to do something, but you realize your mind works much faster than your body. Your body is lagging. Okay, it's leaving you behind. At a certain point, you say, you know what, there is no place I can take my body so I could have fun. It's like You have had friends, these friends for like 5, 10, 15, 20 years. You know who they are, what the definition of fun is. And one day they call you and they say, we have a party, come. And you shower, you dress, you put some makeup. And as you're stepping out, you say, do I really want to take my body to that particular space? Pretend that those stupid jokes are actually funny? Do I want to see people get drunk? Do I want to see people get high like stupid infants? Do I want to like engage in stupid conversation? And then you know what you do all of a sudden, after having spent like 10 hours fixing your body to go to the party, you take off your clothes, you sit on the sofa and you watch a good movie. The party has nothing to offer you. So the more you understand certain things, it's like any relationship. The more you get to know me, the less you want to be around me. And that's one of the nice things about getting into new relationships. People are like a closed box. And if they happen to have suffered from trauma, they remain closed for a long, long time. And they are such a great puzzle because you run after, if you're young and stupid, you run after them. You want to like break them open to see what's inside. Then you want to be a mechanic to fix them. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
It seems like you think that the people that you fall in love with are different than the ones that you should marry, right?
Oh, you should never marry the person you fall in love with. Oh, that's disastrous.
I think that part of like,
I mean, look, once in a while you get lucky. That the person you fall in love with and marry, it's a good relationship. Go ahead.
do you think that, I guess I see like, sometimes when you're in love with someone, there's like power dynamics like we talked about, and I see that as like, sometimes like you speak different languages and you're trying to, not literally, but you're trying to translate yourself to someone else. Do you think that it would be smarter, or you should try to marry someone who already speaks the same language as you?
We have needs. All of us have needs. Do we understand our needs? Most often, no. Are we aware of them? Most often, no. Because we have needs, we have no choice but to use other people as a means to an end. Okay? Inasmuch as I may want to like respect you as a woman, as a human being, I have needs. Maybe today my need is to have a good conversation. You want to have sex. You're not satisfying my need. I need to exploit you the way that nourishes me, which is I want to have a nice conversation with you. Okay. Now, if you were to get into a relationship, the question is, what are the needs that people have? Now, when you're young, you don't really know what the hell is going on. And when it comes to relationships, attraction, just like shit, it just happens. There's a poster. You should buy it, most of you. All of it. Maybe I should require it for students next semester. It's a huge poster. Shit happens. Relationships, they're like shit. It just happens. You go to a party, everything about you is fine. You leave home, you go somewhere like Pete's Coffee to get yourself a cup of coffee, and you run into Anna. She winks at you, you wink at him, winks at you, wink him, all of a sudden you're in love. Shit happens. What do I need from you? I don't want to have a conversation with you. I don't want to hear your thoughts. I don't respect your thoughts. You haven't lived long enough. Now, I know you have assumptions. I've been there. And I respect the fact that you're young and you're ambitious and you're a dreamer. Beautiful. But you're not going to tell me anything I don't already know or experience. I never go to Costco with a merchandise trying to sell them something. Costco is there to give you something. My need is one thing. You give me your ears. That's all I need. And from your ears, hopefully, I'll crack that mind of yours open. And if enough time is afforded to us, maybe I'll have access to your heart. And then I'll plant some seeds. And after 10 years, go away and live your life. Now, when you happen to go out with someone who's 20, 25, 30, 40, and their life is incomplete, they have all sorts of needs from you and from the world. I have lived my life in the classroom. When I go home, I don't talk about this stuff. I have no need to be heard by my companion or by my own self. I want to be left alone. I go downstairs and do construction work. Everyone in my life is an obstacle. I have no need. Now, just in case I get sick the way Lilac and I were sick, triple bypass, then yes, I have a need for some fucking person to take care of me. When was the last time anybody goes out with anybody? And the first question is, what is it that you need in your life? Emotions are mysterious to us. We don't even think about that. We have no idea what the hell it is that we want in life. Okay? All we know is that I'm attracted to Carmen. That's all I know. And from that, needs grow. I don't even know where they come from. How could a simple kiss blossom into a commitment? I didn't ask for that. But now I'm enslaved. It's really, really, really tough to know what you need. The easiest way to know what exactly it is that you need is pain. When you're hungry, you know what you need. When you have no money, you know what you need. When you have a migraine, you know what you need. When you're in pain, you know what you need. When you're angry, you know what you need. A boxing bag. Casual people have ridiculous needs that don't even understand. Almost all relationships start with sex. That's what it is. And then you build on that. But it's a shitty foundation. Is that you, Irvin? Assignments? Thank God. Nihilism? You have to forgive me. I have no desire or patience for that particular conversation, but let me just give it to you as a bumper sticker. Whenever you outgrow a relationship, you become a nihilist. It holds nothing for you anymore. But you must have been in it for a long time, and you must have sucked all the marrow out of it. And then at a certain point, you stand outside, you look in, and you realize it doesn't serve you anymore. Now, some people do that in relationships, some people do that to classrooms, some people do that to books, and some people do that to life altogether. But it is an act of first experience, then engaging in those experiences, then saturating the thing you're involved with. At a certain point, as the Buddha would say, perhaps, with the birth of every desire, its death will come. It's just a matter of time. Okay? And when you realize it has no longer anything to offer you, you become a nihilist, at least towards it. Okay? And then you may end up like a Jesus Christ in the Gospel of Judas, where you look at all of life, it doesn't give you anything. You look at your disciples, they're far too stupid to give you anything. You look at wisdom and transference, giving wisdom to other people, and you realize that's not really possible either. And then you say, well, my body is unable to excite me, life is unable to excite me, wisdom is unable to excite me. The only thing I want to do, Jesus would say in the Gospel of Judas, very much like V for Vendetta, if you've seen the movie. Don't take me to Kaiser. I don't want to get fixed. It's time for me to go and meet my maker. You know. So he willingly just walks towards his death because life has nothing to offer him. You know. So you can't be a nihilist if you haven't used up everything that lives inside an experience. So, you know. Lilac? So, first it depends on the maturity of the person, what they've experienced, how well they have processed the experience, how well they have felt the experience and then reflected on the experience. And then it's going to take a long time for them to be able to put that experience into language. Because every stage is like an art form. Okay? You try, you fail, you try, you fail, you try, you fail, then you get it, right? I mean, if you pay attention to the way I talk, I've been here for 30 years. I make a mess of things all the time because I'm not that eloquent. I'm not that good. I haven't processed my own experiences well. So people leave the classroom saying, man, what the hell did this guy talk about? Okay, so it takes a long time. Now, some people have the sort of temperament that are able to process and then express the experience much faster and much more eloquently. That's number one. Now, when you and I meet, the question is, am I going to be interested in your experiences? Because if there's a mismatch there, okay, if you want to have a romantic relationship and I just want to have a platonic, it's not going to work out. Because you're going to inject emotions that I'm not going to enjoy. And you're going to create conversations I'm not going to enjoy, okay? Now, most of the conversations that we really have is gossip. It's gossip because we're not really good at anything. If you were to focus your life on how to make coffee well, I mean, you go around the world figuring out how is it that coffee is made, okay? What troubles people go through to make coffee, to import coffee, to export coffee, you know, how they grind it. And then you realize, well, if that has been the focus of your life, well, that's what you want to talk about to people. The richer your ability to process an experience, the richer your ideas are going to be about that particular thing. The only thing you need to look forward to is, do you have a customer who's willing to be interested in what you have to offer? Now, in most of the relationship, initially, it's just a pretend game. I am pretending to be interested. Okay. The other thing about conversation is conversations are supposed to inspire feelings. Feelings create attachments. Okay. You're not going to understand me. If you come to this class in hopes of understanding what I'm talking about, it's not going to happen. I am 62, you're 18. That in itself is a huge gap. Now, I'm not saying you haven't experienced life, but it's going to take about 20 years for you to process what little you have experienced. Okay? So the first thing you need to understand, I don't want to have a conversation with you. Now, when you and I do have conversations, you're going to feel things. Now, it's very normal and natural for you to say, I want to understand why I am feeling and how I am feeling and where I am feeling. You won't be able to. Out of those feelings, you're going to raise your hand and ask some questions. Now, you're not going to understand the questions you're asking, but you will ask them nevertheless, because they've been inspired by the emotions and the feelings. Okay? There comes a point where you're no longer an emotional junkie. Now, what feelings do is they solidify our relationship. Even though you don't want to come to the office, that attraction, that attachment, that relationship forces you to come to the office. Now, you may not know why, you may not know how, but you will come nevertheless. That's what feelings do. Unless you have some like issues that you don't trust people and past and all of that, forget all those things, okay? What's going to happen at a certain point, you're going to leave, assuming that you understand now, but you don't. Most of the things that you have taken are a bunch of feelings and lots of assumptions about understanding. Then you walk into life. Now, one of the things about feelings is that they're contaminants. They infect you. They contaminate you, okay? And they give you a purpose. In other words, when you fall in love with someone, that's an intense feeling. That creates focus. You sit by the phone. You go see them. They come to see you. You clean the house. You shower. You cook. That's what you do, okay? All the other people on this planet, they all disappear. It's just you and him or her. Okay? And then time passes. Then you try to put the feelings in what they call the intellect, filter them. And it's going to take you some time to understand the play of these emotions and how they're connected and related. Then after a while, you're going to sit somewhere and process the whole thing. And through language, you're going to fumble. 20, 30 years will pass by. I don't know if you have any desire to have children, but I do know you have parents because I saw your father here. Okay. Now, you may once in a while be inspired to look at your father and say, man, this guy made a lot of sacrifice for me. Fine, great. Just wait till you have kids. And then you'll understand. No one can truly understand anything unless they themselves are in the game. Indians, the Hindu tradition, they have this wonderful various stages of our conversation. For them, it's like an act of prayer, but so first, you just speak. It's kind of like what Martin Heidegger would say, chatter. You know, and you gossip because you're just not a very serious human being. Then there comes a point where you say, you know what, I'm just tired of talking nonsensical all the time. Then you begin to think. Now your conversation has a bit more depth. At a certain point you say, yes, I speak well, but there are no feelings, no emotions in the things that I say. Now you go on this quest. How can I find things I'm passionate about and talk about them? And when you do, you realize, well, you speak through your mouth. You've also thought a little bit, okay? And it also comes from the heart. There comes a point where you say, you have many moments where you're inspired. And you become a vehicle through which this inspiration reveals itself through language. Now that's the place you want to be. So going back to your question, which I've forgotten. Conversations are not interesting unless you find someone attractive. I mean, women are really good about this. At least they used to be. I don't know how they are now. Sex is good just with the right person. It's like, it's a special language. There are lots of good-looking men out there, but I'm looking for like a particular kind. I don't know what it is, but I'll know when I see it. And I think you have to have gone through lots of conversations to grow tired of them. To say, you know what, I'm just going to let my spidey senses tell me what is good and what is bad. I just don't have conversation with 20-year-olds. Like 50, 60, 70, near death. Anyone else? Skyler? Irving? Carmen?
Just about goals.
Goals?
Yeah.
Well, given that you have a physical body, at a certain point, 12 o'clock will come about and your stomach will scream, says, give me food. That's a goal, very organic, created by your body. You walk to the counselor's office on the 3rd floor at Laney, if they don't confuse you more. They'll say, what are you doing here? I'm confused. I want to figure out what to do with my life. So someone sits you down and goes through like a book, and something catches your eye. Okay? And it captures your interest. And you ask this counselor more questions, and they're able to kind of understand your question, and they're rather experienced, and they respond to your question in a very in-depth sort of a way. And that captivates you even more. And you go to the schedule for fall, and you know exactly what classes to take. That's because of the counselor exploiting you, manipulating you, coercing you, corrupting you. But in allowing yourself to submit to what the counselor is saying, he or she has given you an option. That option becomes applicable, at least for a while. Then you walk into the class. Now, the instructor, when they open their mouth, they can either ruin that goal or nourish it some more, inspire you some more. The other aspect is you have 5 senses: your nose, your eyes, your ears, your touch, your lips, or tongue, whatever. You see a young woman with your eyes. You stalk her. You're on College Avenue. Okay? You pass by Barney's, and your nose guides you. Okay? You see this huge guy beating up a kid. You're inspired, and you fight for justice and fairness. Okay? All of us in this class are guided by 1 or 2 or 3 things. The question is, what or how is it you want to be guided, where the end result is something that you will like? You will have a girlfriend or a boyfriend. That's besides the point. But do you have the intellect where after being with this person for 2, 3, 4, 5 years, you'll sit back and say, I think I made the right choice? You have short-term goals, you have long-term goals. And these are 2 different worlds. And it's always best, at least for me, that's the way I was trained. It's best for someone who has a bit more experience to give you goals. We have a few women in this room. If you want your children to have like rich taste buds, when you're pregnant, eat lots of different kinds of foods. You know, just try all sorts of things. And so when your kid comes out, he says, well, yeah, give me some milk, you know, the moment they come out. Also, a Barney's burger wouldn't be bad. Maybe some Zachary's pizza, you know. So yeah, have a rich taste bud. Yeah. Nothing? You sure? This is it. We're going to leave in a minute. You have no question? No comments? Has this been a complete waste of your time? I mean, seeing these people? I'll be here this summer. I'll be teaching a religion class. You got my email. So you don't have to sign up if you don't want to. But if you've enjoyed yourself here, you want to come by and just sit for a couple minutes. during summertime, you're always welcome. Just in case I said things throughout the semester that, rub you the wrong way. It's too bad for you, really. Have a nice life. I know some of you in this class are going to go to big schools, 4-year schools. Good luck. Congratulations. Be good to your parents. Any parting words? Yeah. Your hair looks good. Anyone else? Excellent. Have a nice break.